So I'm Mary Ellen Geist with Detroit Public Television's Great Lakes Bureau, greatlakesnow.org. And if you could identify yourselves first, you.
My name is Houska. I'm a Anishinaabe. I'm a tribal attorney and the National Campaigns Director of Honor the Earth.
And where are you located?
I am based out of Minnesota.
We appreciate you being here today on this panel at Rackham Auditorium. Also, we are joined by...
Hey, I'm Sean Watkins. I'm the Community Manager at the Solutions Project.
And where are you located?
I'm in Brooklyn, but we're a national organization.
Thanks for coming to Ann Arbor. It was a wonderful panel, and a lot of what we heard today was bringing home the reality of climate change, getting ready for climate change across the globe. I write about the Great Lakes. We don't have to go there specifically to the Great Lakes, but maybe we could talk about just some of the things. Here we are in Michigan, surrounded by this beautiful water, some things that the two of you might want to talk about. You want to start just some of the things that we should be aware of with climate change, and you talked a lot about people taking action, and they have to not wait for the government to do something. You've got to take action, am I right?
Absolutely. Speaking of the Great Lakes, I'm the reason why I moved back to Minnesota from Washington, D.C. Is because they want to put a 900,000 barrel per day tar sands line through the headwaters of the Mississippi River to the shores of Lake Superior. It's a fifth of the world's freshwater. It's called Line 3. It's Enbridge's single largest project in history. So when we sit on these panels and have these conversations about climate policy and looking at the Paris Climate Change Accord to fix things, it's quite frustrating at times because you're looking at this is happening right now. These communities are being impacted right now. We are putting our finite resources at risk in this moment. So when we're talking about this economic structure and all of these things, it's like, no, this is really happening, and I hope you recognize there are hurricanes in Ireland. There are hurricanes slamming our country all over. There's climate change that's, it's people are jumping into rivers and drowning because they are so hot. Like, that is happening. So, yeah,
one of the things you said
is tough.
Was that as you watch what's going on with policy, someone on the panel said, I thought it was you, that we're weighing humanity and morality against economics. And maybe you could just drive that point home for me.
Yeah, someone was definitely, another panelist was discussing the importance of economics and looking at this transition into renewable energy and saying that, fossil fuels may be a solution in terms of looking at, is 100% renewables really the answer? Perhaps no. My pushback on that is absolutely, we're looking at humanity and morality and sacrifice zones. Are we going to treat human beings as sacrifice zones as we've done for so long? It's not acceptable to say, your backyard is okay while I'm over here. No, all of our stuff, all of our living comes from somewhere else. Our water comes from somewhere else. Our food comes from somewhere else. We live in those places. And so when we have these conversations about economic policy, climate change and Mother Earth doesn't care about economic policy. It's happening, so we have to act.
Many people here today just talked about how we probably can't count on the federal government stepping in to help in many ways. So what do we do now?
I would also say people are not quite conscious to the fact that from a Standing Rock situation where we had this massive resistance that happened and these gross human rights violations that occurred, that was under President Obama. So looking at the administration has really been a mixed bag for a long time. A lot of these campaigns are funded by the fossil fuel industry. They keep it that way for a reason. They want this to be deregulated. They don't want to have environmental protections that they have to follow. They want to continue to make money, and they want to keep us away from transitioning to a green future. So I would say, one thing I've seen that's very effective is targeting their money, following their money, looking at where it's coming from, and then meeting with those banks, meeting with your city council, meeting with your university and saying, where do you bank, where do you keep your money? Because that actually does move the needle quite a bit. We are very successful in that, just in this little indigenous-led resistance of going around and looking at divestment around the world and around the globe. Partnering with all these people that have been doing this divestment work for decades, we've successfully pulled out close to $6 billion from the banking industry, forcing this conversation. We just saw BNP Paribas commit to, it's a Parisian bank, commit to ending all of its credit facilities with tar sands, Arctic drilling, and fracking. That is massive change. And yes, there's going to be smaller banks that come in, but that's a message to the banking industry that this economics is not viable. Tar sands is not viable. We have to change the conversation.
And on the flip side of that too, well, not even a flip side, on the same stream of that, there's divestment and then there's about investment. Where are you investing your dollars? So if you're a person and you can look at your family and you have excess income, are you donating that to a local organization near you? Not a big organization, while all organizations are great, but it's really these small organizations at the front lines. You know, here in Michigan, some like Solidarity, some like Progress Michigan. These are names of amazing organizations here in the state of Michigan that could really afford to use your dollars if you're able to. So while both looking at how you can take your money away from the fossil fuel with the banking, then think about how you can invest that money into others.
Thank you so much, you guys. Thanks for talking to us at GreatLakesNow.org.
Thanks.
Thank you.